That nigga scream like Tom from Tom and Jerry.
Yeah, Jimmy, yeah. You, nigga?
We're weird, but you hit me early on.
I didn't see a
Fire. That's what we doing, Jimmy?
Friendslop. It's a term that's radiated in the gaming community for about the last half decade, and you either love it or you hate it. The genre stands in this almost eerie opposition to competitive games like Overwatch, Valorant, and League by providing a colorful cast of characters to do mundane tasks like climbing a mountain, exploring a haunted house, or dig a hole, and they usually come with no deep mechanics or scoreboard. This genre of game has seen so much discourse since the pandemic led to their popularization, and in my opinion, they're a panacea to the landscape of multiplayer games as we know it. But before I get into why I think this genre is vital for gaming, let's give some context. Hey, Future Cam here. I forgot to do this while I was recording it, but if you're enjoying this video, please leave a like and subscribe. Every little bit helps, and I really want to get this channel off the ground because I want to document my time playing video games and my experiences with them. It will mean a whole lot, so if it's your vibe, it's your vibe. If it's not, I appreciate you stopping it. Anyways, back to the context. What is Friendslop? Well, Friendslop is not explicitly a genre, but you know the idea. You and 2 to 8 of your friends get together in a pretty simple game and do something. Dig a hole, LARPing as the Scooby Gang, playing God, whatever. The main idea is the fun comes in the communication between each other instead of the game having anything in depth to interact with. There's usually a couple of colorful characters with customization options, proximity chat, and a pretty simple task for everyone to do, whether cooperatively or competitively. Friendslop, in my opinion, started in 2018 with Among Us, and it blew up even more with Lethal Company in 2023. And it really feels like it hit its falsetto last year with Peak. Many other games came in between, like Content Warning, Lockdown Protocol, and Repo, and there is no shortage of this genre of game, mostly because it's formulaic and has predefined conventions that most developers follow pretty closely. Now, I'm no stranger to competitive games. I have almost 200 hours on Deadlock since I got a cold back in February. I've been serially climbing Valorant and peaked Silver 3 after a year of playing. I reached Masters in 2XKO, and my entire teenage and early college life was embedded in going to fighting game tournaments. I even plan on attending Worlds in New York City this year, so if you see me, say what's up. But there is a section of capital G gamers that believe that competitive games are where some of the most fun is at, damning these games by using the term Friendslop. Confining yourself to that style of game is a disservice to yourself. Although the idea of cooperative games are made for clip farming and has been done to death in the last decade, their novelty wearing off is more in yourself becoming stale rather than the games themselves. If you're the type of person to call it Friendslop, you're a coward. The first thing I want to address is that competitive games are more stale than Friendslop. Save for games like Dota and Deadlock, which have patch notes the size of the first Percy Jackson book, most competitive titles do not shake things up enough to change heavily. Valorant patch notes are so conservative that it takes 3 additional patches for most players to even feel the changes, and then actually make decisions based around them, in the proposed meta that John Riot is pushing. Meanwhile, in Peak, the updates come around less frequently, but every time they do, they introduce massive changes to the formula. You want a whole new biome to climb? Here's a fuck-ass desert. You want to change the actual in-game items and systems? Here's an update to that. This goes for more than just Peak, of course. Among Us looks entirely different than when we were all on it in 2020. Lethal Company continues to get a steady stream of updates, and the list goes on. The updates are a lot less frequent, but they always seem committed to giving people more. Now, that's not to say live service games don't provide new content, especially hero shooters. New characters, new maps, new game modes, all of that. But I'd wager to say these changes are not as impactful because instead of adding content and fun to the game, they become another piece of the puzzle that is the meta. Another thing I would like to address is that your friends are what make games good. The game itself is usually just a backdrop. When's the last time you queued for your favorite competitive game and found yourself smiling instead of just being engaged? See, you may think you and your friend are about to be the main characters, but in reality you feed your lane, and everyone is mad at each other in the afterwards. The only reliable way of having fun in a comp game is either getting a clippable play, or a win. In contrast, I played many a game when losing is hilarious. Yes, there's all these horror games that radiate the same energy as Lethal Company, but sometimes dying in new and fascinating ways is just as fun as getting out on a successful run. How many times have you seen somebody fall down off the absolute top of the mountain and peak and been like, damn, they're really mad? It doesn't happen that often because the idea and journey of climbing up that mountain or going through that haunted house or again, digging a hole is entertaining. It's the reactions in it that make everybody laugh, smile, and really have a little bit of joy in their life. There may not be a tracker for every little interaction that happens in the game, but you can always look at your Discord call size and go, damn, I just experienced something really fun with my homies. Which leads me to another issue. These type of games have only become Friendslop retrospectively. Now, this is more of a dressing down of online denizens, a mass psych dress down if you will. This shit was not called Friendslop 5 years ago, which is a lot of time, but also not really. I tried looking for the original use of Friendslop, but it almost spawned out of nowhere. The thing is, the term was made to have a negative connotation. Slop, by definition, is a negative word that implies leftovers, uncared for cuts, or just barely edible. So, Friendslop by extension just means these games are meant for casuals who want the bare minimum, almost like they want the idea of a game, but not an actual game. And like, where do you get off? Developers, whether AAA or indie, are developers. Not everything needs 10 layers of ray tracing or an expensive open world to be considered a game, or fun. I think in a literal sense, the term Friendslop implies that these titles are not really games, but small interactive applications that mimic the visage of a game, and the players themselves are pigs in a trough slurping up the scraps, and I think that's a pretentious hill to die on. Maybe it's because there isn't an imaginary title that comes with conquering a mountain the same way there is for clutching up your rent game, but I'd rather be in a dark cave with eldritch horrors laughing with my friends than being a top 200 player in a game where I get kicked for whiffing an easy shot. Now, there is a counterpoint. These games are formulaic to a fault. They are trendy and sometimes they really do lack depth. For example, Content Warning, Lethal Company, Repo are all the same game but in a different font. And as a matter of fact, that is a valid criticism of this genre. There are a lot of developers who play it a little bit too safe. And because of that, in a lot of ways we get the same game over and over again. And to the credit of competitive games, most of them are free. Overwatch is free, League is free, Valorant is free, 2XKO is free. A lot of them don't have a price to entry and they subsidize 2 skins. Whereas Friendslop games usually ask you to pay an upfront fee. Now, I'm not going to sit here and argue that they're not formulaic. We had at least 17 Among Us clones before we got something truly imaginative in a different style. But I can say for a fact that their upfront cost isn't that much. I've never seen one of these games go above like $25. And typically they're more closer to like 5 or 10. Now, that may not be money that everybody has, and although that's negligible in American dollars, that could mean a lot in a different place, and I understand that. But at least for the people who can afford it, a quick game that gives you 20 to 30 hours of enjoyment instead of a free game that gives you hundreds of hours of disappointment is a better investment. Even still, there are more varied titles that are coming out. You have Super Battle Golf, RV Varia, you have a ton of different unique ideas that catch fire, and like we've seen with Peak at the Game Awards, because they catch fire and because they're unique, people gravitate towards it. None of these games really hide exactly what they are when they're out. You can look on the Steam page store and see that, hey, this is another one about running through a haunted house and getting scared with your friends. And you can choose to put that money towards something else. So yeah, they may be the same thing in different fonts, but that doesn't mean you have to play it. And I think that choice is really powerful. So the prevailing idea that I wanted to get off is that games are meant to be fun, and friends are the X factor for that. Playing friendship games is relatively popular these days, and they are by definition made for casuals, and that's okay. I work a 9 to 5 that I have to travel an hour for, and some days I don't feel like coming back to my abode to sit down and get sniped by an operator down B long. Some days I just want to come home and play a party game with my friends, because as you grow up, you get less and less time for it, so you rather have more meaningful experiences than watching an imaginary number go up. They aren't hardcore, they aren't cinematic marvels, and sometimes they aren't even fun. However, they have a place, not because they're a trend, but because they are a natural evolution. We have had Friendslop for years. We just used to call them party games. Mario Party, Mario Kart, Portal 2, Overcooked. If you want to take this to the logical extreme, Left 4 Dead could even be called a Friendslop game. And that's a hill that I'm willing to die on, you don't have to. But the point of the matter is, we shouldn't look at them and call them slop because they're really just a backdrop for enjoying time with your friends. And honestly, at the end of the day, I'll take content over the meta. I'll take calls over solo queue, and I'll take joy over ego. If you look at these games and you call it Friendslop and you mean that with your entire being, you're not better than everybody else. You're simply just a coward. I just wanted to do this quick little video because I'm currently playing through Mega Man 0 for your backlog, not mine, and I've decided that I'm going to do the entire collection, which is 6 games worth of content. I'm not looking to 100% them, but they're really hard, so I need a little extra time, and I decided that I wanted to put out more of a talking piece to hold people over until I get to it. That being said, Mega Man should be out in like a couple weeks, maybe next month, probably next month. So stay tuned for it, but until then, this is your boy Cam, and I'm out.